long and leads down into well over an acre of subterranean caverns and passages. The ballroom and incredible Monk's Walk were carved out of the solid rock in the early 1800s by Joseph Golding. There are 23 pairs of niches designed for candles carved into the walls of the tunnel. The Monk's Walk is 45 meters, 145 feet long, and leads down into well over an acre of subterranean caverns and passages. The ballroom and incredible Monk's Walk were carved out of the solid rock in the early 1800s by Joseph Golding. There are 23 pairs of niches designed for candles carved into the walls of the tunnel. The Monk's Walk is 45 meters, 145 feet long, and leads down into well over an acre of subterranean caverns and passages.
Jack, Abby, in the Smugglers' caves. You are now standing 70 feet below ground. Did you know that? Bit damp and dark down here, innit? But that's exactly the sort of place where we smugglers like to hide our gin, tobacco, and other booty in the old days. I should know. I was here. Of course. I was alive there. But there were people down here hundreds of years before us smugglers. Oh yeah. Like nobody knows who carved this weird figure. You'll find it in what they call the chapel, which happens to be the most haunted part of the caves. Now look over here. This was the original entrance. Back in 1786, some posh gent found a pair of old beggars living here. They said the caves only went back a few feet into the darkness and told them to hop it. A few feet? I warrant the smugglers was slipping them a few coins to keep out prying eyes. But more about smugglers later. Oh yes, in the early 1800s, some of the young rascals from the town used to bring their girls up here, you can imagine. So the mayor of Hastings decided that the cave should be closed and sealed. Until some years later, a gent called Joseph Golding was working in a garden up on the West Hill when the ground gave way and he nearly tumbled into the cavern. He was astounded by what he saw, and being a bit of a showman, he got permission to open the caves to the public. Lit with hundreds of candles, those people thought they was in fairyland. But old Golding didn't stop there. He cut pillars and domes out of the solid rock to create the ballroom, where they had regular dances. And look at this big chap behind you over the door. And there is another one opposite here, just round the corner. That's the military gentleman. St. Clement's Caves was the place to visit in Victorian times. Oh Lord, yes. Much later, during the World War, which started in 1939, the caves were used as an air raid shelter. Bombs were falling on the houses in Hastings, so people came down here to be safe. There were nearly 600 beds in the caves. Imagine! Then after the war, they had tours of the caves again. And tea dances. Oh, and the jazz evenings. What a racket! Enough to wake the dead. Which reminds me, you'll be wanting to discover more about the smugglers, whose spirits still roam around here. Jack will be around to tell you some more tales later. Come on, this way. Don't mind the ghosts. They're quite friendly. Most of them.
See if you can raise the revenue cutter to France.
The solid rock in the early 1800s by Joseph Golding. There are 23 pairs of niches designed for candles carved into the walls of the tunnel. The monk's wall is 45 meters, 145 feet long, and leads down into well over an acre of subterranean caverns and passages. The ballroom and incredible monk's wall were carved out of the solid rock in the early 1800s by Joseph Golding. There are 23 pairs of niches designed for candles carved into the walls of the tunnel. The monk's wall is 45 meters, 145 feet long, and leads down into well over an acre of subterranean caverns. The room and incredible monk's wall will come solid
See if you can raise the revenue cutter to France.
By the 1700s, the tax was so high on many of the important things we all needed that most people considered buying smuggled goods without any tax to be the only answer.
In every place I went, they drank no tea, but what was wrong?
Many great men not only connive at smuggling, but practice it.
You were not respectable then if you weren't a smuggler. That's right. It wasn't just the poor folk.
Brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk, laces for a lady, letters for a spy. Watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen come by.
That's what they called us, the gentlemen. And the gentlemen were sailing across to France and the Low Countries, fetching back huge quantities of gin in small barrels called tubs, and tea in oilskin bags.
Some of the finest seamen in the world.
But the smugglers on land were just as important as the seamen. We wouldn't have got far without the lookout men. They watched from the cliff tops and signaled out to the smuggling ships.
Danger! Do not run the goods tonight.
That means the preventive men were out and about to catch us. Or,
All clear.
come ashore, lads. We're waiting to unload. And we had bodyguards called batmen.
Step no further.
They had big clubs or bats, which they used to discourage any nosy parties from interrupting our work.
A good team could run 500 tubs ashore in 20 minutes.
Then once the tubs were hauled up the cliff, often by derrick crane, the tubmen carried them off into the night. Smuggled goods were hidden everywhere. Houses had false floors, chimneys and cupboards. Even churches had vaults set aside for storage. Barns, windmills, and of course, caves. Now listen to her spooky stories to frighten people away from the hive. At first months ago, 2 hours away from here, he said that if you heard the sound of a ghostly drummer, you'd better run. Them that saw him said he was 9 feet tall. The gin and brandy we brought ashore was almost neat alcohol, and we watered it down later. Some of us had a sip first.
The sailor told me he had drunk no less than 2 gallons, and he was in a stupor for nearly a week afterwards.
You smuggled it strong, because you didn't want to carry a whole load of water now, did you? But there had to be the correct strength before sailing on. We used Lovey's bead, little glass balls, each marked with a different number. You just dropped the bead with the strength you wanted in the spirit, then poured in water into the pot on the top. See? During the years 1781 to 1784, just 4 years, more than 1 million gallons of Sussex.
I've done it.
Million pounds of tea. That's the big. Revenue vessels, which would usually be a voyage. But in the mid-1700s, it all got out of hand.
They kept the law for one under the money system, and it was crowned with murder.
All of the songs
Read that thing up there, was that saying?
terrible marshals.
Wait, was that the...